Okay, we know how the mainstream media thinks. We know how the legacy media thinks. We know that they do not like Donald Trump. That's been made apparent over and over and over again. I don't need to bore you with the details, except that we have fresh new details coming in on just exactly how much they really, really hate Donald Trump. So he did this appearance over the weekend at a rally, and he used a choice of words that, you know, look, for better or for worse, he uses strong words, very colorful language. And unlike when they do this on the left and Joe Biden uses colorful language, I mean, when he refers to grown men that are black as boy and it gets no coverage whatsoever, when Donald Trump does something, it gets a lot of coverage, like coverage on steroids. And then it gets twisted and manipulated. And so the next thing you know, you're reading about a bloodbath everywhere, and he's effectively threatening civil war if he doesn't win. And so I am, here in paradise, working from paradise, back later tonight. So tomorrow at home base, but I'm here in paradise, and I'm like, wait, what is going on? What are they talking about? Bloodbath, bloodbath, bloodbath. And so I decided I wanted to go back and watch the original clip. But before I do, just keep in mind why I was so perplexed. Take a look at some of these headlines here. Oh my gosh. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses in 2024 election, ramps up anti-migrant talk. He warns of bloodbath, absurd and violent, slams Trump's campaign. I mean, it goes on and on. Rolling Stone says, Trump says there will be a bloodbath and elections will end if he isn't reelected. NPR, Trump says some migrants are not people and warns of bloodbath if he loses. So I was like, wait a second, we got to go back and look at the original sound of this, because when I heard it, and I heard parts of it just actually on Twitter, and I'm just digesting it in real time, reading the actual or looking at the actual clip on Twitter, and what I had seen was actually something that related, in fact, to Mexico and the car industry and China and tariffs, etc. A lot of people refer to economic bloodbaths. It's actually, you talk about markets. Oh, there's bloodbath in the market. It's screaming red. It's in the Dow, it's way down. You might say that. It's in the red. It was a bloodbath on Wall Street. And so it's language that's used fairly common, in a commonplace way in business. So what was interesting is that somehow the mainstream media was picking up on this one particular word. And I'm like, wait a second, wasn't he talking about trade in Mexico? But let's go back and watch it together, because you ought to hear exactly what he heard so that you can make your own judgment, of course, right? That's what's important in all of this, that you don't take the mainstream media's word for anything.
Troy, Mexico has taken, over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it, went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world.
Okay, so when you hear that, it certainly sounds like he's talking about what's going to happen in the auto industry. And then he says, that's the least of it. So maybe that's the one little nugget the legacy media has to go on. You got to be careful how you title this stuff. And the way they've titled it en masse, and we're talking from the New York Times, the LA Times, to everyone else imaginable, Rolling Stones, Daily Beast, of course, it's expected from them. But you've got a lot of legacy media outlets that are saying that he is calling for a bloodbath.